So let's start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance while everybody's joining here.
Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the
Pledge
flag
allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
which it
which it
stands,
stands, one
nation,
nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
with liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
justice for all.
Yes, Jay.
All right. I would just say, Dave, let's go ahead and roll.
Okay, I can go ahead with the VSO report and jump ahead of the review or approval of the October VAB meeting minutes. If anybody has the meetings from that time, I didn't print those out. Did
Is there a
anybody print
motion?
out the minutes?
Is there a motion to approve the minutes from October?
Motion.
Second.
Second. Okay,
Okay. The VSO report, November 16th, 2021. Wakefield Veterans Monthly Food Bank will be held tomorrow behind the Senior Center for pickup at 30 Converse Street from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. The Wakefield Food Bank and the Greater Boston Food Bank contribute dry goods and food for our veterans in need. We currently have 19 families who are signed up for the program. For Chapter 115, we have 9 clients on the program. The recertification letters will be going out next week for the upcoming year for qualifications and validation. Although the Chapter 115 clients are reducing, the veteran benefit claims have been increasing significantly. I've been averaging 2 or 3 claims a week from both veterans and spousal interests for aid and attendance and DIC as well. That's dependent indemnity compensation. As mentioned in last month's report, the upcoming Vietnam Veterans Road to Washington trip in September 2022 to visit the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, the Wall, and other monuments. I'll be placing donations cards at regular locations in town, from the post office and the library to some businesses around the town. COVID Pfizer booster shots at the VA are now available for veterans, spouses, and caregivers. Shots may be obtained by making an appointment by calling 781-687-4000. We have one additional aid and attendance application that came through the office, and we have one that got approved for a pension to assist in some of the costs for home health care. Although it's not a large sum of money, it helps offset the cost for the veteran family. The Wakefield Community Youth Group on Veterans Day honored the veterans by doing a cleanup at 3 locations in town. Here's the summary given by Catherine Gidgra. She's the director, Wake Up Coalition and advisor, Wakefield Youth Council, the Town of Wakefield Health Department. With over 130 youth participants at 3 locations, they collected 293.5 pounds of trash with the pledge of $5 per pound. We are now challenged to raise $1,467.50 to help send the Wakefield veterans and the Saugus and Melrose to the Vietnam era Veterans Road to Washington in conjunction with the Wakefield Veteran Services. Thank you to the Wakefield DPW, our local elected officials, and the community for their support. Legal aid for veterans. There is a legal workshop for veterans available. The Veterans Legal Services team will meet with veterans individually via telephone to address needs, including legal advice, assistance, answering questions, the need for a court appearance of a pro bono attorney, legal matters or issues pertaining to states outside of Massachusetts. This will require special reviews to determine if the Veterans Legal Service team can offer or provide assistance. Starting Tuesday, that's today, virtual telephone appointments bring subject-related and/or court documents or appointments required. First come, first served. To register, please contact 781-687-3077 with a first and last name, along with a good phone number, and a VA staff member will return your call. On December 6th at 11 a.m. at the Senior Center at 30 Converse Street, we'll be awarding the Medal of Liberty to the Peach family in recognition of Chester James Peach, who was killed in an attack on the USS Hancock on April 7th, 1945. He fired on a Japanese kamikaze aircraft and it exploded and fell on his position, killing all of the men in that area. His heroic action saved hundreds of lives. His brother John and family will be accepting the award to be given by General Francis McGurn, retired from the Adjutant General's office. There is also an upcoming job fair for veterans. Please contact my office for any additional information regarding locations and timings. That concludes the report. Thank you.
Hey, David, where is that ceremony on December 6th?
It's being held here at the senior center.
What time?
11:15 will be the actual, when the room is cleared out by 11 o'clock next door here, by 11:15, I'll have it all set up. The daily item has been notified, and Bob there is going to be coming down with the photographer. And I've written a little article that can be read by the general. You're all welcome to attend.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Any other questions on David's report?
Could I ask just one thing about David? A few days ago, just before Veterans Day, somebody had called me and said the flag was missing at the Hartshorn House. I called up Dave, and within 24 hours, we somehow found that flag wherever it was, and it was flying high on Veterans Day.
Beautiful. Any other questions, concerns, comments about David's report? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to accept it as read. All in
Second.
favor? Second,
Second.
Marion, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you, sir. How about Veterans Day recap? I did get some very positive feedback, which is certainly not a surprise. I'm glad that it all went well. I haven't viewed any video on WCAT yet, but I'm sure that I will at some point. Reasonable crowd.
200.
What's that? Couple hundred?
200, yeah, I would say. Ballpark.
Good crowd. Good crowd that was there.
I was surprised at how many people were there because that was the first, we haven't had that program in 2 years.
Right.
A lot of people are itching to get out.
True.
And, you know, I still think we did that. Were there any problems enforcing masking or anything like that?
No. None that I saw.
No, there was a really good like stern sign as you walked in the door, so you didn't want to mess with it.
Right.
Better than a good stern sign, unless there's a stern gunny standing next to it.
And the coffee and donuts arrived promptly, and they were hot and delicious.
Awesome. You know, one of the things that we probably should do, you know, David, we should try to get a couple of thank you letters together. And I know we've given Derek a certificate before, but yeah, we still have to get a thank you letter together for the young lady, the Kendall florist that gave us, provided the wreaths for Memorial Day. I still don't think we've done that. So we should probably get that together at some point.
I have a letterhead, Jay, that has the town logo on it, and
Oh,
on behalf
cool.
of the town, I can fill it out and I'll send it to you for approval.
Right.
And then we'll mail it off to them.
Because I thought I had some letterhead in on my computer, but I don't seem to have it. So
Okay, I'll do it this week.
I know we have one that has the town of Wakefield in the gazebo, and then off on the right-hand side, it says Veterans Advisory Board. That's what Sherry sends us, the meeting blank. Maybe we can cop that up if nothing else. Cool. Any lessons learned, any things that we need to look out for Memorial Day planning, anything like that?
I would definitely bring that high school band back together, and they rocked that place. It was really good.
The Girl Scouts, we should probably work out a plan for the Girl Scouts this time around. The communication lines, I looked at my emails and they were notified. At least some people were, and they weren't quick enough, I guess, to get back to us, so.
That has been a bit of a historical struggle for us.
Interesting,
Certainly.
they go through so much trouble if they think they have not, you know what I mean? It's, yes. We've been trying to engage them. When my daughter was a Girl Scout, I'm like, do you want me to go ask my wife? I don't know why they're not responding to us. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I don't know where that letter comes from.
On
Well,
the
it looks
wreath-
like we've got the right contacts now, so we can be super proactive about May and the wreath opportunity as well.
On the wreath placing at the closing, the Boy Scouts, who were both young ladies, assisted me in setting the thing up, which was kind of was very good. They did a great job. And then, of course, the wreath ended up at the World War II Memorial. I brought it down there right afterwards, and I secured it with those ties, the twist ties.
It was still in good shape when I went by this morning.
Where did that wreath come from? Same place as Memorial Day or different?
No, Karen Burke of the VSO over in Melrose ordered it online because we started getting some quotes, and it's,
Got it.
you know, these wreaths are crazily expensive. And, you know, this board does not have a budget. So it would have to come out of the VSO budget, which, you know, you can probably always find some funds, but there's been a bit of sensitivity over the cost of wreaths over the years. So bought one on Etsy and then had to modify it to make it a little bit more presentable. I believe it was Etsy, or it was one of those online firms. So, I mean, we'll have to look forward to Memorial Day. You know, I don't remember how much they were, but even the ones that we had last year, which are kind of on the small side, were a lot more expensive than I kind of thought, because I don't believe there was a living thing on those wreaths. I think it was all paper and plastic stuff. And they were still, I want to say they were $80-some each, David, something, am I remembering
Right.
correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went to a local florist to try to get a reasonably sized wreath, since we're only getting one for Veterans Day, and it was well over $200.
Oh,
So I didn't pursue that any further.
Karen had
So-
gone down to Joanne Fabric and picked up a bunch of poppies that added onto that wreath, which gave it a lot of nice color. And
Yeah.
significance of the poppies was wonderful.
Did we get any feedback from our, just closing on the subject of the Girl Scouts? I made a dramatic error a couple of years ago when we were once again having some trouble linking up with the Girl Scouts. Because something had just been in the news about Girl and Boy Scouts coming under like one umbrella or one organization, whatever the case may be. Wow, when I mentioned that, that was not well received. So I think the people I was communicating with were not aligned with that decision. Keep, for what it's worth, there seems to be some historical tension and sensitivity about the existence or significance of Girl Scouts. And, I certainly would never want to exclude them. I would like to find ways to include them, but it certainly should not be as difficult as it has been over and this isn't new. This goes back 3, 5, if not more years. You know, whether we don't have the correct contact information or just having trouble finding. I know Melinda tried to make communication and it just was not effective as you can, as you've seen. Okay. Well, thank you once again. I did get, communication from my sister-in-law. We tried to stay off the grid as much as we could when we were in a, I guess, something that's been referred to as an undisclosed location.
A classified location, Jay.
Okay, classified. Yeah, like I said, I did get some comm that it was a very, very well done and appreciated ceremony. So thank you all very much. And no rest for the wicked. We've got plenty on our forecast. So anything else on Veterans Day?
And just to follow up, Dave, if you could also send me a copy of that logo.
Sure. Yep.
And Jay, if you don't mind, I'd be glad to write those thank you notes for your signature.
Wreath across America. I don't know how many of you get the item, but the item was good enough to put this in last Tuesday's edition. They are very, very supportive. They did the printing and inserted it at no cost to us or the town. And some of the communication that I've been getting through Facebook, where I get all of my intelligence these days, there are a number of people in town that don't get or read the item and don't pay attention to what's put on social media. So, one of the challenges for us going forward is what else can we use to get information to folks in town. I don't use Snapface, as Bill Belichick has called it. It's Facebook or whatever have you, we can certainly do that. But I checked just a little while ago where we're only at about 37% of the goal. The target was 430 wreaths. There are 410 wreaths, 410 headstones that I counted down in Forest Glade, plus some monuments around town. So the target was 430. I think, with Thanksgiving upon us, we'll have to put more items in social media channels and try to get another letter in the item. I was thinking of putting together something more all-encompassing on our projects, and starting with the Veterans Day Wreaths Across America, and then follow up on what happened with the Veterans Banner project, and then kind of going forward from there. So, we came into this year with a surplus from last year. So we've only gotten about 80 some wreaths donated. And so in between me and my neighbor, that means there's only 60 some that have come from the rest of the town. So I think, we need to do more to get the word out there. Maybe I'll go down honeydew in the morning, see if Derek will let me put up a couple of flyers or whatever have you. But I'll continue to put things on. I put something on the Melrose Wakefield Saugus Veteran Services District Facebook page and the Wakefield community page, I think it is, Facebook. I don't know if there are others that we should use to try to get the word out there.
Yeah, I put out 100 of the forms. I had
Yeah.
a table set up on Veterans Day outside the auditorium with quite a few things there, including I printed up 100 flyers, and they all went.
Okay.
They all went out. I was handing them to people as they came in. along with the itinerary of the program for the event.
Okay,
The stuff that you've given me. Plus, I gave out the cards for the rollout to Washington next year.
cool. Well, again, hopefully, we'll start seeing a ramp up pretty quickly on this. Because I have received some queries, again, via Facebook on whether we could have volunteers come and assist. Literally, the whole thing takes 15 minutes, depending on how much snow we have on the ground. Because was it last year or 2 years ago? We had to tromp through all the snow. I don't even
Last
remember.
year.
Last year, yeah.
Oh,
Hopefully we
to the
can avoid
knees.
that. Yeah. And I went and put the one at the flagpole behind the upper veterans lot, and I think I was up to my hips by the time I got out to the flagpole. So hopefully we can avoid that this year. But keeping that in mind, the date is December 18th, which I think is after our next meeting, would it be? No, it's before our next meeting. Our next meeting would be on December 21st, so it'll be before our next meeting. So I guess we should undertake some planning. I mean, when we've done it at Forest Glade the last few years, we really haven't had much of a ceremony. It's basically been, Dennis Fazio gives a little talk. And I don't remember there being a lot of detail on the Wreaths Across America website regarding a program that you can have. I mean, it was certainly brought up that we could ask the Girl Scouts to participate. I don't know if the Girl Scouts have the capability of putting together a color guard. I'm not even sure if a color guard is required, because then we'd need to arrange for music, et cetera, et cetera. So, what sort of program should we look at that would precede the replacement of the wreaths? Because if you haven't been there before, the wreaths will either be in boxes laid out along that main road as you go in, like in front of the cemetery headquarters. They might still be in boxes, or they may have been emptied out. And basically, after we gave a short talk, it was just, okay, go off and grab some wreaths and place them. I think we probably said something about, kind of like when we place the flags on Memorial Day, perhaps have a sense of reverence about what you're doing, because you're honoring somebody's service and sacrifice.
You say the name of the group.
Yeah.
the person.
Do we want to have a color guard?
Are we expecting this to be a public ceremony where the public actually, I mean, there's not much space down there.
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
it will be publicized that it's happening at noon on the 18th, and that's it. We have never really, we've said volunteers are welcome,
Right.
but it ends up being kind of like, Memorial Day, where you've got, some Girl Scouts historically have shown up, some Boy Scouts, and then the people that do it every year. There really hasn't been something like you had on Veterans Day, where the public comes and observes the ceremony. It's really, it is quite short.
I mean, I like that we say the names when we lay the wreaths. I mean, I think
Yeah.
say the name out loud is a nice touch.
Yeah.
My opinion is it's just volunteers there to bang out the task, and let's not stretch it.
Okay, and we can certainly come up with more of a preamble to to it, if you know what I mean. The significance of what we're doing, how it's, certainly happening in X thousand different locations across the United States at the same time, in their time zone, and how many wreaths will be placed, et cetera, et cetera. We could certainly have more of a lead up to it, and speak about, having it more reverent.
Yeah, I'd be willing to read one of those poems that I've got that I showed you. I think I read one at the last meeting we had, the committee. I can look at them. I'll send them to you again. And if you think that might not be a bad idea, maybe it might not be the place for it, but then again, it might be.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it.
But the reverence part is good. The wreaths are significant, and what we're doing as a community, I think it says a lot.
Jay, instead of a color guard, you could raise, since you have a flag already there, you could just raise the flag. And have a flag.
The flag's quite a ways away from where we generally gather.
Right, but it can be seen from where you gather.
But the flags yeah, we could certainly, it flies 24/7. We could certainly have a flag raising.
And that might be a bit easier than putting together a color guard, and maybe getting the music and everything else.
Yeah, my opinion, I think we 86 a color guard. We can certainly look at it, because I'll have to look at the flagpole to see, where the cleat is,
Yep.
for the rope, etc. I'm down there on a fairly regular basis. I'll take a look at it. But we can work on some things, share some thoughts offline. But, I think, it's always been pretty well received by the folks that have participated. We could certainly do without the snow, but it certainly is an impressive sight if there is some snow, with the color of the wreath and the ribbons in the background. So, all right, cool. Again, I'll put some more publicity out about it, because I made the mistake of just putting up the wreath that shows our status, and that prompted a whole bunch of feedback, that people didn't know what the heck it was. So I just took the opportunity to try to enlighten them as much as I could. So hopefully that turns into some more.
Sorry, does town hall have copies of the form for the wreaths?
You see that?
If
I don't think so.
no,
I have
David,
this. I don't know if you can
Matter
see.
of fact, I'll drop some off at town hall tomorrow, and maybe at the, what do they call it? The holiday market this Saturday. They're gonna have a holiday market.
Yeah, that's a good idea too.
I have this stand here I can put at the post office, maybe at the library. I'll print out some of that, and I put some here at the senior center at the entrance when you walk in with this plastic stand up. What do you think?
fine. For whatever reason, that thing that you have in your hands tends
I know.
Just
to,
disappeared.
it disappears.
All right, let me know when you can see it. There it is.
There it is.
Now? Can you see it now?
Yeah.
All right. It's the plane, boss, the plane. But these, I've got a few of these I ordered, and I can set them up in different locations this week. Actually, yeah, maybe by Friday, or Friday, no, Monday for sure. Here tomorrow.
Cool. I'm sure it'll be fine. It always is. Any thoughts on I mentioned coming up with a Veterans Corner article to just kind of touch on some of the projects that we've had. Thank more people in public for the Veterans Day ceremony. Talk about where we are on Wreaths Across America. Talk about what happened with the Veterans Banners program, and what we hope for going forward to take this out of order. I might have told you before that I got some photos from folks. I only got a handful at best. And some of them needed repair. I went, looking for the gentleman that did the repair work for the photos that are down at the Galvin, and it seems like he's closed up his shop. So I need to find out, I need to find out, number one, if we have the funding available to repair and put photos that we receive in a proper format, if you know what I mean. They'll have to be scanned into, I assume, like a JPEG format that can be used in printing, etc. And from some folks, we got photos of photos, and so we'd have to scan them, etc., etc. So I don't know how. I don't know where the tension is on how large we can make this technology. To be honest, when I brought things forward to town hall before, they basically just said, just do it. So I'll see if we still have the same guidance. And, one of the things, thoughts while sitting on the beach at the risk of being a smart aleck, I thought of, every one of those pictures probably has a story, as you guys and gals know. There are, all these folks have a story, whether it's Marion's husband, Mr. Urbazuski, who runs the dockside, Tony Moy. There was a young soldier who recently lost his life. I think his name was Muse. His aunt sent me his photo. We had talked about it a few years ago about having, just a thing that would be in the item periodically or in social media periodically, stories about some of the veterans in town. So, maybe with this can springboard into something like that. As we work towards, Veterans Day 2022, maybe that could be a little bit of a part of the project. They don't have to be grand and glorious. Although some of you certainly have grand and glorious stories behind the stories, I'm sure. So, I'll reach out to Mr. Mayo, who seemed to be on some crutches in the last few pictures I've seen him. Must be tough. So I owe him some follow-up. I don't want to say that he was fine with what happened with the project not happening. He understood completely. But I just want to follow up with him, let him know where we are, let him know what we're thinking of. What the hell is this? I upgraded this computer to Windows 11, and it is one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made.
Jay, is that the photographer at North Reading
Yeah.
on 28?
Yeah.
You might talk to WCAT and talk to Ian or something about some of that stuff.
Yeah. I need to. John Bowling was a buddy of his, so I'm going to see what John can tell me.
What about reaching out to Hunt Photo in Melrose as a contribution, sort of guiding us in the right direction with a military discount for any work we have done there?
Yeah, we'll see.
I could sell that to them.
Oh, I'm sure you could.
Humility put on it.
Some people would call it a gift, I guess. Okay. All right. And again, anything that I come up with for the Veterans Corner article, I'll share with this group before it goes anywhere. Coffee social. Did that happen in my, when did that happen? We already
No,
talked
Did it?
about that. Do we have one coming up in December,
January.
January?
That was what
Awesome.
Christie, yeah, we talked about January. And
Okay.
between now and then, I have email addresses for the folks who showed up at the last one. And I'm gonna put together a little bit of a invitation to them to return, and please bring one person with you or more if you can. And we'll, between now and then, we'll also decide on a subject at hand that we can talk about. Maybe it's gonna be in attendance or chapter 115 or whatever, maybe a group of things, short.
You know, we
What's the
can,
date of that? That in January, do you know?
I think I have it on my calendar. Let me look. My phone calendar. Come on, where are you?
was it is it the second or third Saturday? January 1st is
Oh,
a
yeah.
Saturday. So the 8th or 15th or,
I think it was the 8th we talked about.
Agree. I think it was the second Saturday we'd been talking.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the 8th.
yeah, that's the 8th.
Second Saturday, okay. Thank you.
What time is that?
Same time, 10 o'clock.
You know, there's a group that I ran into. I haven't done anything. I just saw it, you know, for Veterans Coffee Socials. And I know that there's a coffee social, an ongoing coffee social up in Haverhill at Battlegrounds Coffee on Thursdays. I haven't had a chance to get up there. And I think they have an ongoing one up in Gloucester too.
They also have one at the American Legion post in Beverly. I forget the date, but I'll get the flyer from the VA. I have to go there on Thursday.
Okay.
I know they have one there. Haverhill, you said.
You know, maybe we can just use some of the ideas that they've put together. They seem to have some success, at least they're ongoing. I've only seen pictures of a couple of the ones up on the North Shore. Judging only from the pictures, it seems to be an older coffee drinking clientele. If you think, you know, one of the banes of our existence is how we reach the younger veterans. And you know, maybe it's a coffee social, maybe it's something else, but yeah, we'll figure.
They used to have one at, I believe, Dockside, and it was, is it Rocco? They used to run it. I don't know if somebody remembers those, but it got to be a generational type thing where they didn't understand the older veterans compared to the newer ones. And that ended that after it lasted about 3 weeks, or 3 months.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it's a bit of a cliche. I don't know how accurate it is. You know, we hear, you know, David's probably heard it too, that, you know, a lot of the younger vets feel some animosity or hard feelings or you know, whatever, you know, from the older generation. You know, like in the Marine Corps, they always talk about the old Corps. Everyone had an old Corps. The old Corps was harder, tougher. Men were men. Sheep were scared, et cetera, et cetera. You know, and you know, I don't hang around the VFW or the Legion very often, but you know, I've seen some of it there. You young punks, you don't, you know, you haven't done anything, and that's why some of these guys aren't joining these things or joining. So, you know, maybe we have to target 2 different populations. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I know VSOs are struggling greatly in many towns and cities to reach that younger post 9/11 veteran population.
Is the location still at the yacht club?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. Okay, certainly we've got some time on that, but maybe we just put together, a brief, even something as simple. I sent out some information today on where you can get, how you can sign up for VA healthcare and how you can get VA ID cards. I get calls about that every month. So maybe it's, start with something as simple as that, and again, so you can segue into 100 different areas. But they all end up with one marching order: contact your VSO. We'll get Dave some business.
A lot of younger vets that I know or that I've spoken to, they don't know that town halls have VSOs in them, or that there's a VSO in every town.
Yeah,
I pass that info along as I go, but that's something that needs to get out there as well.
Yeah, and that's something I'll put out in local media, and we could certainly do that again. Maybe that's not the right vehicle for getting in touch with them, but by law in Massachusetts, every city and town is supposed to have access to a veteran service officer.
Right.
By law.
Jay, I get calls probably 4 or 5 times a month from veterans from other towns, and they don't know where they're located. I end up going online and getting the phone number for them. I had one just 2 days ago in Waltham. So I told this individual to speak to the administrator as well, all the phone numbers, email addresses. And then I actually called the VSO to be expecting his call. And I gave them the outline on the veteran, and they're going to go ahead and get him set up. So that's the kind of thing we get a lot of. I had one from Quincy, which I turned back over to the Quincy VSO. So I think the mapping is very good out there in the most part. But at the restaurant last week, I was at Sue Chang's in Peabody, and the people at the table next to us overheard a conversation I was having with a 90-year-old woman that we were taking out, and giving her a nice feed. She loved it. And they said, "Excuse me, did you say you're a veteran service officer?" They heard it. I mean, it's E.F. Hutton time, And so I gave her my card, and it turned out the woman that was with his wife, her brother is having a lot of problems with medical issues, and wasn't even aware that I existed. And I figured it's not our fault. We're getting out there. We're communicating. It's that people are not absorbing this information for the most part. So.
Can I ask the question of Dave or Jay, as far as the VSO? I know in the last census, you had to fill out a column that said you were a veteran. Is that a privacy issues, or can the local governments get a list of those and send out a small packet or something, or saying, hey, you're eligible for this or that?
We have, over the years, we have obtained a data dump from the town clerk's office. Keep in mind, it's self-reporting, so it may not be 100% accurate. So we have access to those data, but we also have the limitation where the VSOs are part-time individuals and don't have budgets for mailing, et cetera, et cetera. Certainly could be something that we could put together some postcards, and maybe this board could help with mailings and things like that.
Post office, the government post office is probably one of the best means or ways of distributing on the counter. They give us counter space every time I go in there. Anything I want to put in, I can put business cards like this. I can see these, they disappear. I can put this here on it, something like that. I can put flyers at your service. I have another one of those stand-up signs that says Veterans Information Center, 30 Converse Street. I am getting very busy though. Like I said, I've got almost, I would say 250 to 300 veterans folders that I've worked on since I started the job. And I like it. I love that part of it, because if you look, you can't see it because of the background, but I got a shelf full of thank you letters from veterans who have been getting what they didn't know they could get. And so if we continue that.
And it's very important to note that VA issues are not,
I know.
capital letters, bolded, underlined, are not the priority of a veteran service officer.
Well, that's the
Chapter
paradigm.
the administration of Chapter 115 is, I'm not addressing this to you, David. I've said
I
it
know.
to you 800 times.
Yeah.
I'm letting the group know that VA issues are not the priority for the veteran service officer. Administering Chapter 115 is, and then we do VA issues as space available.
Secondary, right.
And that's another barrier. Nothing that, is insurmountable, but it does, if David's anything like me, he's got 10 claims waiting to be worked on a space available basis.
Hey,
So,
Jay,
Yep.
the state, the Secretary of Veteran Services used to put out an annual booklet for the Commonwealth, the veteran benefits at the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Most recent one I have is, I think, 2016 or 2017, that lists all the benefits that we have as veterans. Do you know if that's been updated?
If it's
Yeah.
if it's the same booklet, is it an 8.5 by 11 book type of thing?
Yeah. And it had a picture of a color guard on the front.
Yes. I think the one that I have might be maybe 2020. I'm not sure.
That's
Because
the one we just got for the exam, Jay.
at a veteran coffee, that would be a great item to pass out.
Yeah,
And just
I think
have
we
discussion.
I think we had them in the past. And I think if memory serves, I think we had to request them from like the Secretary of State's office or something like that. But we have a meeting tomorrow at 12:30. We can certainly bring that up with DVS.
I
Boss.
think, Jay, if the town can spend money on sending out leaflets on recycling, they can spend the money on veterans.
I don't disagree.
Some of
Put
us are,
something together. Put something together, Dan.
some of us are already recycled.
Okay, cool. Anything new on the Veterans Field Memorial Project? I think not.
Nothing really. I've talked to Bobby Sardella. He's still having problems. They're having problems getting even like stone granite pillars. He's got a project going with the town. He still can't come out with the number of poles to put these signs up. So, I just got yesterday, after 3 months, a part come in from IKEA. I've been waiting over 3 months for it. So, I mean, it's probably sitting off the coast of California.
Well, and I think I mentioned it before, but that was one of the hurdles that the T-Stop was having. Just the availability of
Yeah.
resources and frankly, the availability of manpower.
Yeah.
He was having a very hard time getting materials.
Yeah, and just
Okay.
sheet vinyl. So,
Supply chain's a nightmare. And businesses are having issues with their vaccine mandates as well. If they're a government contractor, people are leaving in droves. It's tough right now.
Bobby did say that he'll try to get a couple of signs for the coffee social we could stick out on North Avenue, maybe
Cool.
in a snowbank.
I hope not. Okay. Anything else? So for, how do we want to handle, other than inviting the Girl Scouts to participate in Wreaths Across America? maybe we'll come up with, I don't want to be perceived as like pandering to them now that they think that they've, slapped our hand. Here's a little cookie for you. I would like any participation that they do at any ceremony to be meaningful.
Right.
But, we'll see what we come up with.
I think this would seem like you're giving them a small cookie and what they want is one of the big ceremonies. So I wouldn't offer them anything for Roots Across America.
Yeah.
We should respond to the letter though, right?
We could just reach out about Memorial Day to ensure that they have ample time to source volunteers
Yeah.
for that event. I think
Yeah,
that would
I
be fine.
I could be wrong, but I think this past Memorial Day was the first one in a while that we really didn't get any like formal Girl Scout participation. I think in the past, some leaders have brought their troops with them. I don't remember that this past year, but this past year and last year was a bit of an anomaly. Hopefully by 2022, we'll be in a much better place.
Yeah, a lot of troops didn't meet over the last
Yeah.
year and a half. When
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah, for
Yeah, I think during like the 4th of July parade, we always had trouble with Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, only because their last meeting was like at the end of May.
Yeah.
And then their summer.
Yeah.
And they change every year, Scoutmasters.
Yeah.
We might talk to maybe Maureen Butt as a town councilor, that some of the stuff we discussed tonight, just run it by her, and maybe she can always bring it up at one of the town council meetings that Reach Across America, Girl Scouts, that.
or, yeah, and that's not, and maybe, yeah. All right, we'll see what we can do with that. That's a good idea. Thank you.
Okay, and folks, on the Veterans Corner article for the item, has it been determined what edition that will go in or what time of the month that article will go in?
It can go in whenever we want.
Oh, okay, so,
It's not on a hard schedule.
okay, so if any one of us wrote up a little article, short and sweet, submitted it to you as the caretaker of the event of the program, you can approve it and then send it on?
I mean, that was kind of the guidance from the get-go, that
Okay.
anybody on this board is more than welcome to put one together under their byline, etc.
Okay, good.
We just share it globally for input and oversight, then we send it to the item. The item has been more than generous with their space. And even with the Wreaths Across America flyer, they recommended a Tuesday because they knew it was going to be in the different editions and thought that it would be more, it would have more of a presence in the Tuesday edition. Because Monday is, has certain stuff in it, etc. So, having a veteran liaison to the daily item has certainly been a benefit.
I'm
Thank you,
thinking
Brian.
a little article about the significance of a wreath for the season and the time that we put it out there, and a little something that's significant of the wreaths, and then have it in the article.
Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
I just wrote it
Get
down.
I want more action than ideas.
That's
You know
it.
what I
You
mean?
got it.
We've got a ton of ideas. I want more action.
Has anybody here tried to do it online, to go on Wreaths Across America and then get to Forest Glade? I can't bring up our local cemetery that way.
It is not as easy as
Okay, it's
I
not
would
just,
hope.
That's why we started with the flyers years ago. It was easier
Yeah.
doing.
Because if you have to like find a location and then you start typing in Forest Glade, and 3 different Forest Glades come up, and you have to pick the right one, and then you go from there. But once it's not as intuitive as.
I don't see any Forest Glade popping up. So, I mean, there's lots of things with forest in it, but not us. Anyway, I'll try the other way. It's too
I
bad. This,
remember right from the flyer in the paper last week, it was like a code. It was like
It's an alpha code.
a three-letter code, yeah.
okay,
The code MAFGCW is assigned to Forest Glade Cemetery.
Massachusetts Forest Glade.
okay. Thank you.
Plus, I think that the thing that people have got to understand, it's for those two veterans lot. I call it the old and the new veterans lot at Forest Glade, not the rest of the cemetery. You go crazy trying to find those. No.
Correct, because I had a lady after last year who sponsored a wreath, was pretty tight that there was no wreath on her loved one's grave. Because she assumed that by sponsoring a wreath, it would be placed on her loved one's grave.
People don't realize that Forest Glade is a town cemetery. Lakeside is a private cemetery. They're all private. Forest Glade is the only town.
Sorry to run, guys. I have a work call right now. I gotta go.
We're just about done anyhow. Anything else? Thank you,
Good to see you.
Melinda.
Bye, Belinda.
Bye.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Right.
Y'all,
Dave,
if we don't talk, have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving.